the scheming sister Catherine makes a bet with her brother Sebastian on her own body. If Sebastian manages to take a girl's virginity, he can do whatever he wants with Catherine. Who could resist such a challenge? So how does this twisted bet end? Well, this is the story of a brother and sister in a blended family. Sebastian, the older brother, is a charming playboy. With his intelligence and good looks, he's fooled around with many girls. He can have any woman he wants, except, perhaps, his scheming stepsister. Sebastian and Catherine were perfectly matched in manipulation. Catherine is a master at pretending. She was well liked at school. Some parents even trusted her enough to leave their children in her care. Cecile's mother was one of them. Since Cecile would be attending Catherine's college, her mother brought her to Catherine's home and asked her to look after her. She hoped her daughter would become as popular as Catherine. When Sebastian arrived home, the three women were still talking. Cecile's mother held a strong opinion about Sebastian. No surprise, given his notorious playboy reputation. She quickly took Cecile and left. No sooner had they gone than Catherine reached for her lapel. She had a mission for her stepbrother. Last summer, her ex-boyfriend fell for Cecile, and it broke Catherine's heart. Now, she wanted Sebastian to seduce Cecile and ruin her reputation as revenge on her ex. Sebastian impatiently refused. It was too easy. He already had his eyes on a new target, Annette, the new headmaster's daughter who had just moved in with Sebastian's aunt. Annette had even been featured in a magazine, stating she would save her virginity for marriage. Such a bold declaration, plus her father's prestige, made her the ultimate prize for Sebastian. Catherine told him not to bother. A girl like Annette was out of his league. Sebastian challenged her to a bet, so Catherine proposed a deal. If Sebastian failed, she would get his vintage sports car. If he succeeded, he could sleep with her. Sebastian had long desired his stepsister. They agreed immediately. Sebastian rushed to his aunt's house. Annette had just returned from horseback riding. He tried everything to charm her, but it had the opposite effect. Annette was not impressed. She was disgusted by his smug demeanor. She reminded him coldly that she knew his reputation and told him to stop trying so hard. Sebastian walked away, disappointed. He would need a different approach. Meanwhile, Catherine was making progress. Cecile had started cello lessons with a teacher named Ronald. When Catherine visited, she noticed something odd between Cecile and Ronald. They were getting close. Catherine had an idea. She invited Cecile for a picnic and pretended to ask about her love life. Cecile said a boy had asked her out on vacation, but she'd never been intimate with anyone. Then Catherine brought up Ronald, suggesting Cecile practice with him. Cecile blushed and confessed Ronald had written her a love letter. She even told Catherine where she hid them. Catherine was thrilled. She asked Cecile to photocopy the letter to boost the relationship and promised to let them hang out at her house. That day marked the beginning of Catherine's revenge. Meanwhile, Sebastian launched a new plan. He tried seducing Annette at the pool. When she went to change into her swimsuit, she accidentally sprayed perfume. Back at the pool, Sebastian flexed his muscles, but it still didn't work. Annette saw right through him and rejected him again. But Sebastian didn't give up. He learned that Annette's best friend Greg was secretly gay. Greg had a strict upbringing and was terrified of being outed. Sebastian made a deal with his friend. Get Greg into a compromising situation in a hotel room. At midnight, Sebastian barged in on them. Greg panicked, and Sebastian threatened to expose him unless he praised Sebastian to Annette. Greg followed through, singing Sebastian's praises. Later, Sebastian learned from Greg that Cecile's mother had warned Annette about Sebastian's past. Sebastian went home and told Catherine. At that moment, Catherine was secretly monitoring Cecile via surveillance. The siblings exchanged updates and agreed to help each other. Thanks to Annette's best friend, Sebastian gained Annette's trust and started dating her. Meanwhile, Catherine told Cecile's mom about Cecile and Ronald. After Cecile returned from her trip, she resumed cello lessons, only to be interrupted by her angry mother, who had found the love letter. Cecile was shocked and ran out in tears. Her mother humiliated Ronald and kicked him out. Catherine and Sebastian were waiting outside. Catherine handed Ronald a letter from Cecile, written under her influence. Ronald was overjoyed. Catherine urged him to keep writing to Cecile. But Sebastian was beginning to feel uneasy. He didn't want to ruin an innocent girl, but Catherine was relentless. She wouldn't stop until she got her revenge. Sebastian followed the plan. He invited Cecile to his house, spiked her drink with alcohol, and when she was drunk, he convinced her to stay. They had sex that night. Meanwhile, Annette was still unaware. She asked Sebastian to volunteer at a nursing home. Though uninterested, he played along and pretended to care. When Annette visited, he acted sweet. Annette began to see a different side of him. A rare smile here, a quiet laugh there. She held his hand, but Cecile started to feel confused. She told Catherine it felt like an explosion, but in a good way. Catherine encouraged her to practice more with Sebastian, to please Ronald later. Cecile believed her. With Sebastian's help, Cecile became more promiscuous. Catherine's revenge plan was nearly complete. But Sebastian's story took a turn. Catherine walked in on him spying on Annette through binoculars. He might actually be falling for her. She asked if he was about to lose the bet. He denied it and went to Annette. They kissed, but she pulled away. Sebastian was frustrated. Annette admitted she had feelings, but didn't trust love. Then, she walked away. Later that night, Sebastian went to her room. He pretended he was saying goodbye. He accused her of waiting for true love, but pushing him away when it came. As he turned to leave, Annette stopped him and locked the door. She sat on the bed and unbuttoned her dress. Sebastian looked into her eyes, then ran away. The next morning, Annette had already left. Sebastian felt a deep sadness. He called her friends to find out where she was and waited for her at the train station. That day, Sebastian won the bet. But this time, he didn't walk away. He had fallen in love with Annette. Catherine was furious when she found out. She tried to reignite his interest by using Ronald to provoke him. But when Sebastian found Ronald hiding under Catherine's bed, he lost all interest in her. Catherine warned him. If Annette's father found out, they'd be separated. As student council president, she might be forced to report it. But Sebastian didn't care. He said he would tell Annette everything. Catherine warned him it was impossible to change overnight. They were who they were. Sebastian left the house to make a choice. After thinking it over, he went to Annette's place. She welcomed him inside. And as soon as he entered, Sebastian told her the truth. His love for her was nothing but a lie. At that moment, Annette was filled with sadness. She didn't want to believe Sebastian. He shed tears, trembling as he said he had fallen in love with someone else. But as he watched Annette's pain, he couldn't help but walk up to her. Annette struggled to push him away and raised her hand to slap him. She cried and threw Sebastian out. By the time Catherine got home, Sebastian was waiting in his room. He raised his champagne glass to celebrate Catherine's victory, but he didn't expect her smug response. Catherine said she hadn't won against Annette. She had only won over Sebastian, who had given up on his true love. To her, Sebastian was nothing more than a plaything. Hearing his sister's words, Sebastian sat in disbelief. He finally realized he'd been played for a fool. Overcome with remorse, he called Annette, but she wouldn't answer. Sebastian reached for his favorite journal, the one where he had listed all the girls he'd dated. After much thought and inner struggle, he decided to give the diary to Annette. He rushed to her apartment, but was stopped by her mother. He called Annette's name, but she wouldn't come out of her room. Left with no choice, Sebastian handed both the diary and a heartfelt letter to her mother. In the letter, he apologized. He told Annette the time they spent together was the only time he had truly been happy. He asked her to give him a second chance. The diary revealed everything: Catherine's manipulation and the girls he had hurt. That night, Sebastian stood outside her building. He waited all night and left the next morning, anxious and defeated. Annette happened to see him through the window. She rushed after him. Meanwhile, Catherine, afraid Sebastian would expose their bet, made a desperate call to Ronald. She told him that Sebastian had not only slept with Cecile but also planned to reveal everything. Ronald hung up furiously and went looking for Sebastian. Just as Annette caught up to him, the two boys had already started fighting. She rushed in to break it up. In the chaos, Annette was pushed into the street. Sebastian dove forward and pushed her out of the way, taking the full impact himself. As he lay on the ground, he whispered to Annette, "I love you." Sebastian tragically died from his injuries. But the story didn't end there. At the start of the new semester, Catherine took the stage as if nothing had happened. But before she could say a word, the entire audience stood up and walked out. Sensing something was wrong, she rushed outside. Nearly everyone was holding a notebook, Sebastian's journal. All of Catherine's misdeeds were inside, including the drugs hidden in her necklace, which the principal later discovered. By then, Annette had already left the city, driving away in Sebastian's vintage sports car. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. See you on the next video.